Picture this. You're looking out your front window on just a completely normal, quiet suburban street, like a summer evening.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is just starting to dip below the tree line. And down the road, there's a food delivery driver stopped, just tinkering with his scooter.
Right. Totally normal.
Exactly. And closer by, maybe a grandfather in traditional clothes is slowly walking this heavy loading bicycle. And then right across the street, a woman in a sun hat is trying to get the perfect angle for a selfie.
Yeah.
It's the absolute definition of mundane, right? But,
Yeah.
I mean, what if absolutely none of those people are who they appear to be?
It is genuinely an unsettling thought. I mean, because we are biologically wired to filter those exact scenes out, like as harmless background noise.
Right.
You look out your window, you see a delivery guy, and your brain just categorizes it as normal, and you instantly stop paying attention. It's an evolutionary shortcut, really, so we don't get overwhelmed by everyday life.
And that biological blind spot, that is our entire focus today. Because our mission for this deep dive is to decode the hidden, highly tactical language of suburban surveillance.
Yeah, and the data is incredible.
It really is. We have this massive, honestly fascinating stack of sources to explore today.
Yeah.
We're looking at raw security incident logs, audio transcripts, field analyses, all recorded throughout July 2026.
Yeah.
So this is not some, theoretical white paper. This is raw behavioral data straight from the streets.
Right, and to really set the stage for what we're looking at here, we kind of have to throw away our Hollywood assumptions.
Oh, totally.
Like when most of us think of someone casing a house, we picture a guy in a dark hoodie creeping around at 2 a.m. with binoculars, trying not to step on dry twigs.
Yeah, the classic burglar trope.
Exactly. But this field data reveals a totally different reality. Modern reconnaissance, it doesn't hide in the shadows. It hides in plain sight by weaponizing our social expectations. So today is essentially a masterclass in situational awareness. We're giving you the tools to identify the behavioral anomalies that are happening right on your sidewalk.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if the goal is hiding in plain sight, how do you stand completely still in front of someone's house for, 5 minutes without looking incredibly suspicious?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Right. But the sources call this stationary camouflage, or the prop defense. So take that delivery driver I mentioned earlier. There's a recorded incident on July 12th at exactly 9:09 p.m.
Yes.
A delivery rider pulls over in a dark patch of the street, directly across from a target vehicle gate.
And you really have to pay close attention to the sequence of his physical movements here because it is highly structured. He pops his scooter seat open, but he leaves it propped up at a strict 90-degree angle. Like he doesn't flip it all the way back.
Which creates a physical barrier. So if there's a security camera on the house, that 90-degree seat perfectly blocks his torso and his face.
Exactly. That's the physical shield. Then comes the psychological shield. He takes out a bottle and slowly pours exactly 1 liter of petrol into the tank.
Wow.
In security analysis, we call this the deniable alibi. I mean, think about the psychology of a homeowner or even a police patrol walking up to confront him.
Right.
If someone asks why he's parked in the dark outside a house, he has an instant socially acceptable excuse.
Yeah, he just says, just ran out of gas, mate. Takes a minute to fill up.
And that excuse instantly diffuses any confrontation. But the real genius of the 1 liter of petrol is the math.
The math.
Yeah, pouring that specific amount from a small bottle buys him exactly 4 minutes of stationary time. For 4 minutes, he stands behind that upright seat just pretending to scroll on his phone.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, his eyes are actively darting around, mapping the neighborhood's rhythm, logging passing cars, and, studying the activity behind that specific property's gate.
So the prop basically cloaks his true intentions. And this tactic goes way beyond delivery uniforms, too.
Yeah.
Let's look at what the analysts call brochure bait. This is July 13th, mid-afternoon. A 2-person team rolls up, playing the part of sales reps, handing out flyers.
Yeah, the flyer guys.
But the division of labor between the two of them is wild.
It really is. You have one person, unhelmeted, who steps up to the letterbox and makes a big theatrical show of inserting the sales flyer.
Right.
This creates, a 10 to 15 second legal excuse to pause at the property line without triggering any alarms.
So the flyer's the prop. But what is the partner doing?
Well, the partner intentionally keeps their motorcycle helmet on. And that defeats any overhead facial recognition cameras mounted on the eaves of the house.
Oh, that's smart.
Very. And while the first guy is messing with the flyer, the helmeted partner pulls out a phone and snaps clear, direct photographs of the gate latches and the locking mechanisms.
So the person we are socially conditioned to watch, like the guy at the mailbox, is literally just a distraction.
Yes, a complete decoy.
The real objective is finding the weak points in the locks, which that leads right into the selfie woman.
Oh, this one is fascinating.
A woman in a hat and sunglasses stops on the sidewalk to take a selfie using her front-facing camera. She does that slow spin, to get the quote-unquote best light.
Right.
But the video logs reveal she's actually capturing a 360-degree panoramic video of the property's access points.
Mm.
And the truly chilling part is the timeline here.
Mm-hmm.
The data tracks her visits over 6 months, from January all the way to July 16th. Her visits narrow from months apart to exactly 2 weeks apart.
And the escalating frequency of those visits? That demonstrates long-term intelligence gathering. They're tracking the homeowner's seasonal changes and routine shifts.
Okay, but I have to pause and push back on this a little, though.
Sure.
Isn't a selfie just a selfie?
Yeah.
I mean, walk down any street today and you will see 5 people taking pictures of themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do we know this isn't just a homeowner's paranoia?
No.
Like, are we criminalizing vanity here?
I thought the exact same thing when I first read that log. But in behavioral analysis, you don't look at one action in a vacuum. You look for layered anomalies.
Okay, layered anomaly.
Yes, first, the hat and sunglasses obscure her face from elevated cameras, and they hide where her eyes are actually focusing.
Right.
Second, look at her framing. The field notes point out she positions herself at a 45-degree angle that perfectly frames both the entry gate and the vehicle gate in the background, rather than, the aesthetic parts of the street.
Wow, okay.
Stack that specific camera framing with the escalating frequency of her visits, and the statistical probability of it being an innocent social media post just drops to near zero.
It's a bit like stage magic, right?
Exactly.
The selfie is the flashy misdirection for the audience.
Yeah.
It's the thing your brain is supposed to look at, while the real trick, the data collection, is happening quietly in the background.
That's spot on. The prop disarms you. The flyer, the petrol bottle, the phone camera, they give the brain an easy answer so it just stops asking questions.
So the prop works perfectly if you want to stand still. But what happens if you actually have to walk down the street? I mean, you can't just pour petrol or take selfies forever.
Right. Eventually, you have to move.
Yeah, so how do these individuals gather intel while in motion without looking completely obvious?
That is where the physics of the human body come into play. When people try to mask their intentions while walking, their physical bodies often betray their true mental focus. The analysts refer to this as a biomechanical betrayal.
Okay, we have to dive into what the data calls the pothole litmus test, because this log from July 12th blew my mind.
It's incredible.
An individual is walking down the street, and he has a visible, obvious nerve weakness or an unstable gait. He is physically struggling to walk, but he completely ignores the treacherous potholes and uneven road humps on the street.
Which goes against every ingrained human survival instinct. I mean, when you have a physical difficulty walking, your biology forces you to look down.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to navigate obstacles and prioritize not falling, because a fall could mean serious injury.
But instead of looking down, this guy's eyes are locked upward on the security cameras and the second-story windows. He just walks blindly over massive potholes.
Yeah.
Like a glitch in a video game. The visual software of his harmless pedestrian disguise completely conflicts with the physical hardware of ignoring a massive pothole.
That's a great way to put it.
His brain's CPU is just maxed out on gathering data about the house.
Cognitive overload is the perfect way to describe it. Human instinct always prioritizes immediate physical safety over casual observation.
Right.
So when you see that instinct overridden, when someone risks physical pain just to maintain visual contact with a window, it proves that this is high-priority, deliberate reconnaissance.
Wow.
The stakes for looking at that window are higher in his mind than the stakes of breaking an ankle.
That is wild. And if you think the pothole guy is strange, imagine sitting in your living room and watching the earlobe choreography. An individual walks past a house with a rigidly straight torso, but he's tilting his head awkwardly to view the upper windows. And as he walks, he rubs his left earlobe while passing the pedestrian entry gate. Then, the exact moment he reaches the driveway vehicle gate, he switches hands and aggressively rubs his right earlobe.
Right. And that specific detail points to two very different psychological realities.
Okay, what are they?
On one hand, it could be a bizarre tactile anchoring mechanism. Casing a house in broad daylight causes massive adrenaline spikes. People develop nervous physical tics to cope with that stress.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the more likely scenario is that it's a silent signal to a hidden accomplice parked down the street. Left ear means the front entry is clear of cameras or dogs. Right ear means the vehicle gate is vulnerable.
Which brings us back to the grandfather we mentioned at the start, the elderly man pushing the heavy Hercules loading bicycle. The tracking data shows him making 20 specific passes in just 6 days, between July 11th and July 16th. He's out there morning, afternoon, and night, mapping the occupancy patterns of the house.
And we have to look at the choice of the heavy cargo bike. Why not just a regular bicycle?
Right.
Because the heavy rusted loading bike is the ultimate alibi for an incredibly slow pace. If a fit 20-year-old walks past your house 20 times at a snail's pace, your threat sensors go off.
Obviously.
But an elderly man straining to push a massive cargo bike, your brain automatically rationalizes the slow speed. You just think he's tired.
But the illusion drops, because on July 16th at exactly 17:14 p.m., he stops just passively scanning as he walks by.
Yeah, the behavior changes.
He pauses directly in front of the gate, leans in, and openly tries to gauge the occupant's response. He is actively testing to see if anyone comes to the window or if a dog starts barking.
He's testing perimeter tolerance. He needs to know if the residents are oblivious or if they're too timid to confront someone loitering at their gate. If they don't react, he marks the property as a soft target.
And just when you think you're looking for one persistent grandfather, the data reveals the most alarming discovery of the entire July analysis, the chameleon network.
Yes.
We're talking about 3 totally different personas.
Yes.
First, a woman in a parda doing a rigid military-style runway walked down an uneven street while hiding a vertical phone. Second, an elderly man wearing an Amaz cap. And third, a woman in a hijab. Totally different ages, totally different cultural signifiers, but they all execute the exact same surveillance pattern.
This is where we see the militarization of street theft. The logs show all 3 individuals executing identical visual grids.
Identical grids.
Yeah, they do a vertical swoop ground to roof, and then a lateral sweep left to right. Wait, let me break that down. They are aggressively scanning the property, like reading a book, left to right, bottom to top.
Oh, wow.
And they all culminate their sweeps with these dead stares right at the second-story windows to see if anyone is looking back.
And 2 of them hit the exact same 17:05 p.m. time slot, just 48 hours apart. What does that level of synchronization actually mean for the homeowner?
It means you are not dealing with a single opportunistic burglar who needs cash. You're looking at a highly disciplined, multi-person surveillance network.
Terrifying.
They're deploying different faces and cultural clothing to blend perfectly into the local neighborhood fabric. But organized crime training strips away individual human habits.
Right, the habits.
The rigid runway walk to keep a hidden camera steady, the identical grid search scanning patterns, these are learned behaviors. The costumes change, but the training betrays them.
So we've explored how solo actors use props and biomechanics to blend in. Let's look at what happens when these networks actively coordinate to map a property at high speeds.
Yeah, the mobile formations.
The data from March through July details multi-person tactical operations, specifically the fair and fair cover using auto rickshaws.
The rickshaw tactic is particularly insidious because of who it utilizes to breach the property line.
Right. The analysts tracked 3 distinct auto rickshaw license plates: KL21C83645, KL01CF9320, and KL01AY4456. An adult female always stages herself squarely at the vehicle gate to settle the fare with the driver. She intentionally blocks the line of sight from the house.
A physical block, yeah.
And during that distraction, an unaccompanied minor slips past her and breaches the property line. On July 17th, the logs show the minor advancing deep into the perimeter to peep straight through the inner gate. But I have to ask, why involve children? Using a kid to breach a property seems infinitely riskier and more complicated than just looking yourself.
What's fascinating here is it actually reduces the risk to almost zero. This is the psychological weaponization of the illusion of innocence.
Wow, okay.
A homeowner is far less likely to call the police or react with physical aggression toward a wandering child than an adult stranger.
That's true.
If the kid is caught looking through the windows, the adult simply apologizes, blames the child's natural curiosity, pays the rickshaw fare, and leaves.
My God.
But they leave with the intelligence the child gathered. It provides a massive, risk-free margin of error.
It is brilliant. but incredibly manipulative, and they deploy minors at night too. The transcripts note adults using minors as social camouflage for a casual evening stroll, giving the adults cover to fix their gaze entirely on second-floor lighting to check occupancy.
Exactly.
And speaking of evening operations, there is a fascinating log about two women in Kaimars and shoulder bags on July 23rd and 24th. They conduct repeated evening sweeps. And the field notes describe them transitioning from macro-level lighting checks to micro-level head tilts.
The head tilt is a dead giveaway of intent. If you want to see if a house is occupied, the macro level, you just look at the lights.
Right.
But if you want to know if there's a laptop left on the passenger seat of a parked car in the driveway, the micro level, you have to look through automotive glass.
Yeah.
The only way to cut the street lamp glare on a car window is to sharply tilt your head. Going from macro to micro shows they're running a systematic operational checklist.
Then you add the element of speed. The data tracks mobile drive-bys using motorbikes. You have two bikes flying down the street. The lead scout pretends to be on a phone call, acting lost or coordinating directions, while the trailing bike films the entire street.
Yeah.
And the riders on the trailing bike intentionally ride without helmets.
To be clear, they aren't skipping the helmets because they're reckless drivers. A motorcycle helmet severely restricts your peripheral vision.
Oh, yeah.
Riding without one maximizes their field of view, allowing them to scan the upper stories of houses without having to aggressively crane their necks. It also allows for rapid dismounting if they spot an immediate opportunity.
And if they need a closer look without stopping, they use traffic maneuvers. On July 23rd, a motorbike with a license plate KL01DK8256 waits until the target house is completely empty.
Right.
Then, the rider executes a tight tactical U-turn right at the driveway gate. The slow turning radius gives them 3 to 4 seconds to scan the compound wall and ground floor windows.
They're turning a standard driving maneuver into an intelligence-gathering sweep. But the most common mobile cover found in the July data is the blue-collar disguise.
The tile-laying laborers. The economic breakdown in the field analysis is fascinating here.
Very telling.
These manual laborers usually earn between 900 to 2,000 rupees a day, but they are caught on camera completely ignoring their paid work to pace the perimeter of a property.
Yeah.
They use a lead-and-follow tactical walking formation. They communicate via AirPods, and they use continuous hair grooming like running their hands over their faces and hair to intentionally hide their features from cameras. Why this specific disguise?
Because manual laborers are the invisible workforce of the suburbs. We are socially conditioned to ignore a guy in dusty clothes carrying tools.
We really are.
We assume they belong there. But when a supposed laborer prioritizes tactical communication and facial concealment over earning their daily wage, you know the construction job is just a front. It grants them invisible access to highly residential spaces.
Up to this point, we've explored external threats operating from the street. The props, the biomechanical glitches, the coordinated rickshaws. But the field analysis takes a sharp turn inward, looking at the ultimate vulnerability. What happens when the threat already has the keys?
The insider threat. It is the hardest anomaly to detect because they don't need a disguise.
Exactly. On June 8th, and again on July 17th, a hired housekeeping staff member, a nanny, is caught on the internal security cameras loitering by the compound wall.
Right.
She isn't taking a smoke break. She's exhibiting those exact deliberate eye movements to mentally map the camera blind spots inside the property. She's checking the window lines of sight to see who is occupying which room at what time.
When a threat comes from the outside, you can always build a higher wall or add more cameras. But an insider threat bypasses all your perimeter security.
Yeah.
She was actively mapping the home's internal defenses. That means she was either gathering intelligence to facilitate a theft herself, or she was acting as a paid informant for one of those street networks we just discussed.
The homeowner in this log caught the behavior, immediately revoked her access, and randomized the entire household schedule to neutralize whatever intelligence she had gathered.
Smart move.
But the internal threat isn't just hired help, it's also the people living next door. The sources track a known neighborhood offender who escalated his behavior. He started with extreme public indecency, standing naked at the gate for shock value.
Yeah.
But the logs show a transition to slow, deliberate, gate-focused scanning.
That transition is a terrifying psychological shift. Exhibitionism is largely about shock value and pushing social boundaries.
Right.
But when that behavior morphs into actively scanning security gates and mapping vulnerabilities, it indicates an escalation in intent. He shifted from testing boundaries to calculated target fixation. He's no longer just trying to scare someone, he's trying to get inside.
But the July logs end this section with a really powerful grounding contrast. Amidst all this malicious casing, on July 24th at 8:06 p.m., the cameras catch a parent carrying an infant who looks under 6 months old walking past the vehicle gate. And this parent displays intense vigilance. They're tilting their head, they're scanning the dark corners for motion sensor lights, they're checking under parked cars.
It's the exact same hyper-awareness that the chameleon network displayed,
Mm-hmm.
but it is born from a completely different biological drive.
It really is two sides of the exact same coin. The physical actions, the head tilts, the lateral scanning, the pausing at the gate are identical between the malicious actors and the parent.
Right.
Imagine watching both on a camera without context. But one is a wolf looking for a gap in the fence, and the other is the shepherd actively looking for the wolf.
That's a perfect analogy. The physical mechanics of observation are neutral. Vigilance itself is not a crime. It is an evolutionary survival tool designed to keep that infant safe.
Yeah.
The difference lies purely in the baseline context and the intent behind the observation. The parent is processing the environment to protect their vulnerability. The casing network is processing the environment to exploit a vulnerability.
So we have downloaded a massive amount of tactical data from these July logs.
Yep.
We've seen exactly how the street operates, from the delivery driver's petrol to the U-turning motorbikes.
Yeah.
The real question for you listening is, how do you combat this?
Yeah.
How do you take this intelligence back to your own front window? The data points to one clear solution. You break predictability.
Criminal networks rely entirely on the reliability of your routine. If they know you leave for work at 8 a.m., that is when they strike.
Right.
If you notice a grandfather with a heavy bike casing your house every single day at exactly 16.28, you must disrupt that data collection. You draw the curtains, you visibly lock the pedestrian gate, or you intentionally move your car in the driveway at that exact minute.
Just do something different.
Exactly. You
Right.
show the observer that the environment is dynamic, unpredictable, and therefore risky.
And you have to make the click visible. If you see someone pausing and peeking, doing that reverse selfie near your gate, you give them the hard response.
Yeah.
You don't have to be aggressive. You just step onto your front porch, phone in hand, and you make direct, unmistakable eye contact. You show the observer that their anonymity is blown. Criminals want a soft, oblivious target. Showing you're alert completely ruins the appeal of your property.
It changes their entire risk calculus. And if we connect all of these isolated incidents to the bigger picture of modern living, it leaves us with something crucial to consider. We live in an era where everyone installs smart cameras to watch the street.
We do.
We feel safe because we have a lens pointed outward. But these field logs prove that the street has adapted. The street is meticulously watching us back, using our own social etiquette against us.
And
The next time you look out your window and see someone doing something totally mundane, tying a shoe, taking a selfie, or paying a rickshaw fare, ask yourself, what are their eyes actually doing?
are they the wolf or are they the shepherd? It really makes you look at that quiet suburban summer evening in a whole new light. The delivery driver, the grandfather, the woman with the phone. The illusion of innocence is an incredibly powerful weapon. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember that you are now armed with the ultimate tool, situational awareness. We will catch you on the next deep dive.